Hi, this is Dr. Kimberley Linert, and you're listening to Incredible Life Creator Podcast. My guest today is Devi. Devi helps you look 10 years younger. She works with successful professionals who lack confidence in their appearance. Looking older steals opportunities and money. Diana's clients look and feel rejuvenated, energized, and younger. Diana combines her over 30 years experience in the medical field with her passion for dancing Argentine Tango so that you reap the benefits as her client. Welcome to the podcast, Diana.
Thank you so much, and thanks for having me.
Yes, so excited to get into this because I love dancing and tango dancing is on my bucket list. So I want to hear all about it.
Good, good. I have to admit, it's an addiction, sort of a kind of a healthy one though. But nonetheless, it is a passion. I've traveled the world doing it and met people everywhere, and I love it.
Awesome. So just so people can get to know you, tell us your story.
So as you mentioned in the introduction, I have been in the healthcare field for over 30 years. I am a clinical pharmacist, which means that I practice in a setting where there's a little higher level of criticality, I guess you would call it, and done that for many years. And also Argentine Tango dancer, but I've also had an interest in diet and exercise and movement. My grandmother was diagnosed with an artery disease in which basically she had too high a cholesterol. So they put her on all these medications and changed her diet. And, she eventually died. But we found out years later that all of the stuff that they did was exactly the wrong thing to do. So it was like, but we didn't know. But for me, so that kind of piqued my interest then, because I'm like, I want to eat right from the beginning rather than having to change my diet later on. So I'm going along fat, dumb, and happy, so to speak. And in my 50s, I noticed things start to change. I don't have the energy that I did before. I'm eating much less and I'm still gaining weight. And I don't like where my weight is accumulating, primarily around the middle. And it was very frustrating because I didn't know what to do. And of course, I'm thinking, gee, there's got to be something wrong with me because I'm not sleeping well either. I go to my physician. She tells me, after she runs a bunch of tests, she looks me over and, brought me in with the results of the test, sat me down and said, "You're getting old. You just need to get used to it." And I was horrified.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely horrified. And, one thing is that I did what people in healthcare do, is you go see somebody who's an expert and knows more than you do. And to be told that there's nothing you can do, you just need to get used to it, was just horrifying. So after being kind of in the state of shock for a while, then I got mad. And I got mad and said, okay, fine, you're not going to help me. I'm going to do this myself. Mm-hmm. So that's what I set about doing, and looking at the research and trying things out and all of those kinds of things, and figured out what it was that I needed to do for me to look and feel better, because I didn't want to be in a position where I didn't have energy to do anything as I got older, because I had more time, no kids in the house, all of those kinds of things, more freedom. But with no energy to do all those things is kind of a sad way to live. And I didn't want to do that. So I figured it out, and I had a lot more fun dancing tango because I had more energy. And at that time I was teaching tango, and I was teaching group classes and private lessons. And there was this transition that happened in which some of my students would go, okay, so what is it that you're doing? Because you've got a lot of energy. And they didn't believe how old I was when I told them. And, so it started out that this hour tango lesson ended up being 45 minutes and 15 minutes about lifestyle and what you can do and all those kinds of things. And then 50-50. And then I'm like, maybe this is something that I can share on a wider basis, because we all want to look good. We all want to feel good. And it doesn't have to be that you compromise those things as you get older.
That's right. We definitely don't want to compromise those things as we get older.
No, absolutely not. You know, I just watched a video of a 100-year-old woman who she broke the world's record for her age bracket in running the 100-meter dash. And
Wow.
she was upset because it wasn't as fast as what she wanted. And I'm going, you go, girl.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah. Yeah. So what is the secret of youth?
So a lot of it is deciding that you're going to do something. And that's kind of the first hurdle because we have such a mindset that I'm this age and I can't do this. And I'll give you a prime example. I was in Tango, we have a tendency to wear sometimes shorter skirts and sometimes longer. It depends on what it is that we're doing and where it is. But I was trying on this skirt, and it happened to be that I was in a department that was a little more trendy and perhaps a little bit younger market, you might say. And the sales staff were just kind of looking at me like, are you buying for your daughter? Are you buying for your granddaughter? Are you? And it's like, no, this is for me. My philosophy is if you can wear it, just like red lipstick, right?
Mhm.
You're told you're not supposed to wear red lipstick if we're over 45 or 50. I'm like, it's about how you carry it off
Mhm.
and having the confidence to wear it. If you feel good in it, it shows.
Mhm.
So breaking down those stereotypes that we have in our head as to our own individual ageism, I guess is a way to talk about it. We get enough of it in society. We don't need to have it for ourselves.
We sure don't. Like they say, age is just a number. So however
Yes,
you want to be or whoever you want to be, just create it.
exactly. And I kind of throw a little phrase on the end of that. Age is just a number. It's how you live your life that counts. And that to me says it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about one of my favorite subjects, which is movement. So my background is in behavioral optometry, and I've created something new where it takes vision, brain, mind, and movement, and it puts it together and helps people integrate. And so there's so much learning that you can do with that. It helps you with
Yeah.
complex decision making, things like that. So let's talk about movement and health and youth.
I find this absolutely fascinating. In fact, I was going to do a PhD in kinesiology, focusing on Tango and the impact that it has on the brain, especially in Parkinson's disease, because it produces really great results. But looking at movement does a lot to reset many, many things in your body. Metabolism, getting rid of byproducts, releases those feel good hormones, all of those kinds of things. And we come from a society, at least a lot of what I have read initially was that the brain is a master sergeant, it controls everything. We just have a body just because we have a body. Whereas the stuff that I started studying when I was doing the PhD in kinesiology was, look, there's a relationship between the two. And what you do physically impacts growth and development in the brain. So we know that, for example, a person who plays piano has a larger capacity, a larger amount of development in that part of their brain that's associated with hand-eye coordination. So being able to move your body stimulates the growth of new brain cells, makes you sharper, feel good, all of those kinds of things. And so I am a firm believer in movement of any kind. You pick your movement. I recommend people create on their listening device your Shake Your Booty playlist, which you get up in the morning, you're feeling kind of, you go, okay, Shake Your Booty playlist. And, you dance one or two songs, you're in the kitchen, you bebop around, your pets are looking at like you, like, okay, she's at it again. But, it's all good. Yeah. I love movement. And I really like what what you do with regard to movement and the eyes and the brain. I work with a chiropractor here with some of this stuff because I've had an injury, and he does things with me with eye movement and brain training and all of that kind of stuff. And the results are phenomenal. It is unbelievable what a difference it makes. And it can be simple things, that it doesn't have to be anything dramatic. Just like moving in some way
Mhm.
changes your day.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, it really does. And like you said, it can be so simple to make really huge changes. People are thinking they have to do something really complicated, but the thing is, as soon as you start moving, your eyes have to assess and they have to change every second, every millisecond, because the movement makes them have to adjust. And so just adding movement to anything increases your learning, increases your awareness, what you see, what you notice, how you make your decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. I can really see where that would make such a huge difference. And I I like the fact that when you move, you express something different in your body as well as your emotions and all of those kinds of things. And actually had instances in which by taking people through a series of movements, that they're actually able to free up emotion or blocks or those kinds of things that happen, and really being able to embrace that rather than being ashamed or embarrassed or any of those kinds of things. Movement is, for me, absolutely critical. I've been a dancer of one kind or another all my life. When I was a little kid, you do the dress up thing, and it
Mhm.
was always Scheherazade, and we'd take curtains and make the little harem pants and put on shows for mom and dad and the whole neighborhood, all of that kind of stuff. But you feel different as a human being.
Mhm.
And even my cats, I have to walk my cat twice a day. Movement makes everything better.
Mhm.
So really acknowledging that and saying, okay, so, and one thing that I like to tell people to do is, okay, we're on a Zoom call now, right? We're on Zoom. I can do exercises sitting in my chair and nobody can see that I'm doing anything,
Mhm.
but I feel better. I can change my breathing and nobody's really going to be paying that much attention to how I'm breathing. Um, Doing simple movements, and this one I really like. It's a jaw exercise where you just take your jaw and just drop it
Uh-huh.
nice and slow, and you're breathing, and then take it back up nice and slow. You do that and it just drops the tension out of your body immediately.
Wow.
So, all of these things that you can do really help us to be able to be more relaxed, because stress is one of the number one things that causes aging, and movement is a great way to release it. This jaw exercise is one. I have people do stretches where while they're sitting at their desk, just bending, and I'm not forcing or pushing or anything. I'm just releasing in, in, and for those of you that are listening, I'm just taking my head and tipping it to the side and just relaxing.
Mhm.
It You don't need a lot of equipment. You need 5 minutes. And who doesn't have 5 minutes, right?
Mhm.
Even if you do this when you're in the bathroom, you know, you can do your stretches or your breathing or any of those movement kinds of things at that point in time.
That is so true. The other thing I was thinking about is movement and confidence. So I do CrossFit. Some people might say I'm too old for doing CrossFit because it's usually 20 to 35-year-olds, but I
Mhm.
I love it and it makes me feel so confident and more sure of myself, and like it just makes me feel like, oh, I can, if I can do this, if I start my day by doing that, I can do anything. So talk about dance and movement and the confidence it brings for people.
The confidence it brings is once you have, there are a bunch of hormones that are released in the brain associated with movement, and some of those are for satiating and feeling good. But when your body has that movement, when your muscles have some vibrancy to it, when your body feels good, it's in a better state of health. And when you're in a better state of health, you project more confidence. People that move generally have better posture. It's because in order to move, you need to have alignment in your body to make it feel better. So when I'm like this, I've compressed all of my chest, I'm not breathing well, my digestion is off. When I'm like this, My gastrointestinal tract is happy. It can move. My lungs can expand and contract. My shoulders are in a good position. I'm not cramping in my neck, all of those kinds of things. And you can see it when people walk. If somebody walks like this, you know they're in retreat mode. If somebody walks like this, they're confident, they're in the world, and they say, I'm ready, bring it on.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, so beautiful. So let's talk about that alignment. So before we came on, I was talking about that, I had a friend that I learned Alexander technique from, which is a technique
Yeah.
where you work on your posture, in his 70s, and he just floated across the floor. I mean, he had this beautiful alignment. So talk about the dance and the alignment. And I mean, tango to me is one of the most beautiful dances ever.
It is. And I will tell you, I have taken, I don't know, maybe a million steps walking backwards in 3-inch heels, so having alignment. And so I guess what I'm saying is that there is movement and strength in that, but there's also something that I do to offset or really pay attention to that. And I look at my own personal body alignment. So I'm going to turn to the side here, and there's the knee, shoulder, hip, and then ankle alignment. So you have this lineup like this with your body, and really being able to feel that in your body. And it all starts with just look in the mirror, see what's going on. So I had an injury to my shoulder, as I mentioned earlier, and I did a bunch of things. And that's where I first got involved with gyrotonic, which is a spiraling movement. Is great. I highly recommend it for people that are recovering from an injury or who just want to stay in shape. But I thought my shoulders were straight. I looked in the mirror and they were like this, because the muscles had all tensed up in this area. And that became the new norm because of my injury. So having to really pay attention and feel. And that's what is really great about dance or movement, is you connect back with your body. And we do so much that's in our head, and we're here all the time. We're disconnected. I talked to a woman the other day who had gone 4 hours without anything to eat, drink, or to go to the bathroom. Not good for your body. And so movement helps you to reconnect back with your body and feel what's going on, but also having that intention to say, okay, my finger hurts. What's going on here? Or, oh, I have a little pain in my back. Do I need to stretch? Do I need to do anything? Oh, I feel something in my stomach. Am I hungry or am I thirsty? Right? Because people's habit is to reach for something to eat when they may, in fact, be thirsty. So reestablishing that connection with your body, movement is a fabulous way to do it. And who doesn't like to dance? You see little babies, they can't even walk. They're grabbing onto the side of something and they're just bouncing up and down, right?
They are.
They're moving to the beat. Their little legs they're just so cute. But it's inherent within us to want to move and to want to move to music and to dance, whatever form it is. It doesn't really matter. What matters is that you move and be aware of what it feels like in your body when you move.
And I was thinking, you've been teaching tango for many years. Do you have any stories of people who came in and, maybe they had bad posture, or maybe emotionally they weren't there, and they started to dance and they became like a different person? Any stories like that?
I have actually quite a few of those. And it's been interesting to me as to go through this process with people. So I've taken people that are absolute beginners, no dance experience whatsoever, and take them through that feeling of, I can't do this, I'm so awkward, that whole, inability to really think that they're ever going to be competent at all, and work through the process. And I had one gentleman that I worked with that I told him, you're doing great, your movements are improving, you dance, I love dancing with you. And he started crying because he had been told all of his life that he would never be able to dance. He was not a good dancer. He couldn't follow the music, any of those kinds of things. His mother had told him that all his life. And when we broke through that, his whole body posture changed. He started dating. He, got a promotion. I mean, it was just unbelievable to see how opening that little door made such a difference for him. And that's not the only example that I have. There are many of them that, I have a woman who she doesn't have her back pain anymore. She has scoliosis, and the way that she was sitting was impacting her back. Now, she's still got the scoliosis, but her body posture is much different. She feels better. She has more energy. She's more interactive. The list goes on and on, because when you're in movement, once you can break through all of the barriers that you have, the real you can start to come out and to shine. And movement is a great way to do that. Movement, sleep, changing your emotions as far as how you feel about yourself, how you feel about aging. Who are the influences in your life? How do they feel about that and about you and about what you're doing? So.
Exactly. So if someone were to come to you, not as a dance student, but they say, I'm tired. I feel ugly and old and fat and I want to feel good. How would you start out with them? What would you do with them?
So what I would do first is kind of get an idea of what it is that they're doing and what have they tried, because that's a great indication. But finding out and being, I guess I would say, is that understanding that you don't have to go into a regimen that says, I get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, I work out for 45 minutes, I can only eat the things that are on this diet, making it so restrictive that they're not going to be successful. I more like to ease into it. So to have something, 1 or 2, maybe 3 things at the most that we start with. And once you have success and you start to feel better, then you can add more things on. It becomes much easier to do something additional because you have the energy, because you feel good. But starting with simple things that take maybe 5 minutes or less a day, maybe it's just tracking what your water into. Oh, and my kitty decided to join us. That's what the blinking light is about. It might be that we just assess what's going on with you first and pick out the low-lying fruit. But hydration, sleep, movement, those are 3 key things for you to start looking at as a person if you want to make these changes that I recommend. Look at what you're doing and start from there. And then and I got to tell you, this is such exciting work, because to see how this changes people and how it impacts their spouses, their jobs, maybe, caring for their parents, it might be caring for their grandkids, and a whole host of things. And I've even had women tell me, my daughter told me she doesn't know what I'm doing, but I need to keep doing it. So it's that kind of stuff that is really makes this work so much fun.
Nice. So is there anybody that's just too old or too far gone? I mean, sometimes, we get to that point where we're just in that hopeless place because like, I am too old, or, I'm.
For me, I would say the point of no return is being dead. That's
It's awesome.
That's kind of, I can't do anything with dead. Anything before dead, I can do. But there's a friend of mine who's in her 80s that we have done stuff with. So, it doesn't matter. And then I have a woman who's in her 30s. Usually in your 30s, you're not as concerned about it, but she happens to have a family history that makes her a little bit more concerned about how she's going to age and how she's going to feel and all of that. That, she decided she wanted to do something and see where she was at this point in time. So, yeah.
So for you personally, is there any things that you do every day? Like some people have a morning practice, or they do something for their mindset, or whatever. Do you have any certain practices that you personally do that help you stay centered or help you feel good about yourself?
Yeah, I do. I have I do some facial exercises, face yoga kind of things. But before I do that, I kind of clear out. And for me, it's very much a centering and as, setting kind of like, and I can be in bed when I do this. I don't even have to be out of bed.
Mhm.
It's just kind of that taking that time to really think about what it is that I'm going to do for that day and have this intention that it's going to be a great day. And maybe it's going to be a day that's really filled and action packed. And maybe there's some stuff I really don't want to do in it. But it's like, okay, I'm going to do it and get it over with. And then I'm going to reward myself with something I want to do or those kinds of things. For me, that, but moving also. And I don't care where I am. Because, we always have these, right? These are always with us.
Phones, yeah.
I can put on a song anywhere I am and dance. And if I dance around for 3 minutes, I'm going to feel great. And then I might do a second song, but it has to be that kind of movement to get me going, to get the blood circulating, all of those kinds of things. And there is a lot of literature that supports activity or movement in the morning and how it really sets your day for everything and really makes you feel better. If I don't have my morning movement, I'm kind of crabby and grumpy. And of course, it's kind of odd, but I have a cat that likes to go for walks. I thought I was getting a cat. It ends up he's a cat dog, but he is relentless. It's like, we're going to go out and we're going to walk in the morning and I don't care what's going on. And it's nice because he's like my walking buddy. So he lets me know we're getting up and we're going to get out. So having something that you do, and I'm not necessarily saying that you need to get a cat who wants to go for a walk, but having some
Good
kind
luck.
of routine that you do.
Good luck finding one of those.
Yeah, I just thought it would be cool to eventually take him on a leash and outside. And it's like, after twice, it's like, no, we're going out. We're doing this. So yeah, so that's my key. The other thing I do is I have a big glass of hot water in the morning. And it doesn't matter if it's winter, summer, whatever it is, hot glass of water, bounce around for 3 to 5 minutes, and I'm good to go.
Wonderful. So if people wanted to work with you, can you at this point just tell people where can they find you and also what services are you offering at this point?
So they can find me on anagelesslife.com. They can send me an email at diana@anagelesslife.com. And in fact, if they want to jump onto my website, I have a freebie there for them. It's a 5 gravity defying foods, and one of them is chocolate. So who doesn't want to know that they can eat chocolate and still have it be, on the, as far as anti-aging list. I'm on Facebook, so you can find me on An Ageless Life there. I'm on LinkedIn, Diana Devi. The kinds of things that I do, it takes a certain amount of time in order to be able to really have a cumulative effect. So I have people sign up for either a 3-month or a 6-month program in which we work one-on-one together. I have some group things, but those are, I think it's always nice to start with a little bit more focus, and you make progress so much faster because I believe very much in having very much a catered list or something that's very customized. Because although, for example, I have a client that I said, okay, drink water 1/2 ounce per pound every day. She said, fine, that's great. But she had 2 problems. She didn't like the taste of water and she was getting up too much in the middle of the night. So we came up with something that she could do. Those kinds of customization things make it so much easier for people to be able to really find that this works and to stick with it. And these things are simple. They're not always easy, but that phased implementation makes all the difference in the world. You get that success and you're ready for the next thing.
Wonderful. So now a personal question. What gives you the most happiness and fulfillment in your life?
Dancing tango.
Okay, that was quick and
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah, that was easy. And I love it so much that my teacher is in Argentina, and he does a twice weekly Zoom class. It's just a solo practice class. And this started during COVID because nobody was traveling anywhere. And as a teacher here, I didn't really have an opportunity to take lessons from anybody because most of the people were my peers. And although that's great, when I'm wanting to build technique or have some kind of new stimulation, I like to go to my teacher. So he started this Zoom class, and I do it twice a week. I don't miss this class ever, except if I am ill or he's got a thing that he's doing, a performance. So we're going to miss class on a Tuesday, but I do that religiously. And then that makes it so I'm really ready to go. When I go dance and with the partner, I just feel awesome. I'm comfortable in my body. I feel good. I know what my body can do. I have the movements down. I just love tango.
Wow.
Can you tell?
Yes, I can. So let's say some of our listeners would like to go and learn tango. They're new at it, they're beginners, and we have people listening from all over the world. So would it be best for them to start with the teacher just individually like that, like online, or is it better to go in a group class where you're actually interacting with others?
Group class, absolutely. Part of the challenge is that when you learn from someone online, it's much different than learning actually in a classroom. Many of us went to online because we had no option. But if you can go into a classroom and one in which you rotate partners, you learn so much faster, because when you're just dancing with one person, you start to compensate for each other. And when you dance with a bunch of other people, and it's like, this person moves different than this person, than this person, than this person. So you pick it up much faster. You're able to adapt. You start to know when you do this in your body, this is what happens with the other person, all of that kind of stuff. So I recommend in-person classes. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you. And thank you for being on the podcast today and for all your wisdom and really interesting facts about movement.
Thank you. This has been so much fun.
So I have one last question.
Yes.
What is your best advice on living an incredible, amazing life?
The best advice on living an incredible, amazing life is to enjoy the ride rather than just being focused on the destination. And this is something that took me a long time to get to, because I'm very goal oriented, but to really enjoy every point of where you are, even though the point may not be comfortable. You know more today than you did yesterday. So tomorrow is going to be better, but enjoy the ride.
Awesome. I love it. Well, thank you so much. And we'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.